Okay, people are getting in. This is good. Until then, I'll tell you about Google intake makers. Is there anyone who's aware of like Google intake makers? Anyone? You can type it out if you cannot unmute yourself. It's okay. So no one knows about it. It's okay. I'll tell you. So Google intake makers is an initiative organized by Google for women to connect and learn from each other, and doesn't mean like men cannot attend our events. They can because we'll be inviting very esteemed and experts, uh, teachers or lecturers to teach us about something new. Might be from today, like full stack, front end. If you attended our previous events, it was about backend. So we'll be bringing like new tech stacks to learn from, like cloud, AI, and those kind of things. So stick around. So basically, what Google Intake Makers initiative is for that, to learn new things and to connect with each other, network, and learn more things. Okay, I think we should start and we can repeat it like if needed for any newcomers. So I'm gonna be introducing to you our today's speaker and lecturer, Nazrawit Wolde. She's a full stack developer with extensive experience in building impactful tech solutions, and she's have a strong background in software development with expertise in MERN stack, database engineering, and creating user-centric solutions. To highlight a few of her work experience, she was a full stack developer in Kaizen Digital's solution. She was a database engineer in Gabai Inc., and she was a core team member in Google Developer Student Clubs. And she's outspoken tech advocate. So I'm gonna introduce Nazareth, and she can introduce herself with her own words. So Nazareth,
Hi.
hello. So tell us about yourself. I think I did a small bit of um, introduction, and introduce us yourself with your own words.
Well, I am a full stack dev. I've been working on full stack dev for like, I don't know, the past 4 years, ever since I was second year of college. And I think you got my information from my LinkedIn.
I
I'm not
did.
really good at keeping up with, yeah, I'm not really good at keeping up with my experiences. One thing you haven't mentioned is I recently worked at Huawei. I was assigned on the Telebr team. I was part of the team that built the Great Run insurance purchasing app. It was one of the wonderful projects I've worked on. It was very stressful yet eye-opening projects, and currently, I'm working on my own startup. I am acting as the CTO, and well, I'm acting as basically everything. That's how it is when you're creating a startup. I do have an amazing co-founder, but I'm handling all of the technical stuff, and I'm also working on freelance projects. So that's me.
Okay, such a great introduction, and there's a lot more we can learn about you because I didn't know about your Huawei endeavor. So you can tell us more about it. So before we deep dive, we have a few housekeeping rules. You can raise your hands to ask questions, and please keep your mic muted at all times, not to interrupt everyone. So that's it. So starting in, I'm gonna give you a brief rundown of our agenda, which is we have four sessions without the introduction and closing part. So we'll be touching up on personal journey, career path, web development, and MERN stack, freelancing and career tips, and motivational and closing, which includes her advice for up and coming developers. So stick around, and at the end, we can ask her your questions. So, what was your career path to becoming a full stack developer?
Okay, so I started my career path. I started the whole idea of full stack dev when I was in second year. So right after we got back from Corona, we started face to face class. That was when I began my full stack dev. I was part of this amazing team of two other people other than me, and they were very encouraging. They kept pushing me to work on the end. We so the thing was we started doing this project for a hospital management system, and they had this crazy idea that we should learn this new frameworks that I've never heard of. So they suggested MERN stack, and they said we need to learn it, and we want to do the project that way. So I started learning with, and that was how I started to become a full stack dev. Ever since then, I fell in love with the whole JavaScript frameworks like React, Next, Nest, and the others. So that's how I basically started.
Okay. So how did you manage to land your first remote job? Or like you can tell us how you landed the hospital system job.
Okay, okay. So the hospital management system was it was for a family friend. My father's friend had a hospital and he wanted to automate his, and so he asked my dad, and my dad said, my daughter is currently working on she's learning her CS degree, so let her try it. So the guy was generous enough to give us the project. So it was a very fun experience because I had to go through the process of requirement gathering. I went there and talked to the doctors. I asked them what their pain point was to gather what they wanted. So that was how I first got my job. But after that, my first paying job, I got it on LinkedIn. There was this girl. She said she just opened her startup, and I commented on her account. I said, "Hey, I'm a full stack dev. Do you want? Could we work together?" And she was also very kind enough to give me the role.
Okay. So what I learned so far is like networking is very integral. We cannot just look for job postings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, your net worth is your net worth, right? So having a good network connection is the best thing, and I believe LinkedIn is the best place to find that.
Okay. So for if you're starting out, you can utilize LinkedIn and better your network. So my third question uh, is it possible to become a full stack developer without a degree? Do you think it is possible?
For sure. I mean, okay, so I told you I worked at Huawei, and before that, I worked at Kaizen, and now I'm working on my own startup. Never have I used my degree. I mean, the skills I got from the place I learned, which was Atilco, helped me a lot for sure. But I never actually used my degree. So if there's anyone wondering, would I need a degree for this? My answer is no. You do not. You just need the skills.
Yeah, that is so true because I have had a chance to talk to a lot of people. I've been people that works at Google and they're like, Google doesn't know my degree. So as long as you have the skill set, I think
Yeah,
you'll be set on your path uh, of earning a big job. So I
yeah,
have a
yeah, for
question.
sure.
Before being set on this path, what inspired you to pursue this career in tech?
Huh. Okay. So this might sound a little bit funny, but I was in sixth grade. I watched a series called Revenge, and in that movie there was this character called Nolan Ross. Nolan Ross was a very I don't know, bright-minded programmer, and I remember telling my mom, I was like, I like this guy. I like who what he's doing, and computer science was, and so ever since then, I was very lucky enough to know what I want to do early on, from early on stage from my life. So that's how I started.
Okay, that is very amazing. Just being inspired by a movie.
I know, and the thing is, it never went away. I was hoping, I was not hoping, but like expecting it to go away, but it never did. And still, the funny thing is, I never wrote a single line of code until like grade 11.
Okay.
I just knew I wanted to be a programmer. I never actually done. I hadn't done anything to actually do.
Okay. So going into our another route, which is about web development and MERN stack. What are the best resources and projects to learn web development?
Hmm. Okay. So I would say what worked for me was YouTube videos and working on projects. I believe someone learns the best while they're doing it. So more than the YouTube videos that I've watched, the projects I've done taught me a lot. So I would say watch YouTube videos just to get the general idea, the foundation of it, but then go do projects. That's how you learn the best.
That is true.
But if you're asking me for a specific resource, if you're asking me for a specific resource, I would highly suggest ALX's courses. I'm a very huge advocate of ALX. So ALX courses are the best.
True, I agree. I also did some ALEX courses and they were great more than what we learned at college or university. They were much more exercising because you got to code hands on more than just learning it in theory.
Yeah, yeah. I actually like what ALX is doing. I love the ecosystem they're building, the community they are fostering. So I would highly suggest for anyone to join ALX, even if you're not a tech advocate and you just want to have a very bright-minded community. If you want to be a part of that, just go to ALX and take one of the non-tech courses, like the virtual assistant course.
Yeah, that's a great advice because I met a lot of ALEX graduate that didn't necessarily went to like CS schools or software engineering departments. They were might be architects and so on. So this is really helpful. So my next question is,
Mm.
what is your recommendation for path for mastering MERN stack?
So I think I've touched on it a little bit. Do projects. Doing projects is the only way you can. I mean, coding is like an exercise, so you need to practice it more to have for that so that your muscle can be strong. So keep on practicing and practicing and practicing and keep on building projects.
Okay. Uh, so how do you kick off back end development once the front end is complete?
So I like to start from the back end and go to the front end. Maybe I don't know, that might not be the right approach. People might say, but that's how I do it. I start the back end first. I like to do the database design first, look at the database schema first, then do the API requirements. Then I would go to the front end. So I don't know, maybe you want to change the question or.
That was my second question actually, because a lot of people were asking, which one do you prioritize first, back end or front end? Because different developers have different answers for this, and that's the correct thing. So you can kick off with uh, back end and go to front end. It depends
Yeah,
on
yeah.
your.
So I mean, yeah, back end, then go to front end. Although it depends. It depends on the project you're working on. It depends on your preference. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Yeah, like experiment both ways. I've also tried doing front end then the database. But for some reason, I was not comfortable. I was not confident with my work. So I would prefer to start with the database, then the back end, then the front end.
Okay.
Or you can make them go parallelly. You could do by modules or like by functionality. So you could do database backend front end and retest that, and once it's perfect you can go back and do also again the database backend and the front end.
Okay. That sounds good because different developers have different preferences and like different projects have different needs. So that tracks.
Yeah.
So What
Yeah.
tips do you have for building impactful portfolios project as a MERN developer?
Um, I mean, I would say first start off from projects that inspire you, so that it doesn't get boring. So like I told you, my first project was a hospital system, and I actually loved it. I loved the automation process, so that was what was keeping me going. Maybe if I had done a project that I assumed was boring, maybe I wouldn't have you know went on with it. So what I would say is try to do fun projects that inspire you and motivate you. And then, so the thing is, if you keep on doing very projects that motivate you, like I said, you're going to come up with a lot of projects, so you can choose between projects to put on your portfolio.
True, true. So, like, do you think there are portfolios that helped you land job interviews, or do you have recommendations of what kind of projects to touch on beyond them being interesting for the developer?
um what kind of projects landed me my job? I would say, because in college I mostly did um management systems. I did hospital management system, I did hotel management system, management system. I don't think there's a specific management system that I haven't done in college. Different course projects, I did a lot of management systems. So I presented those because that was what I had for my interview, and I like to believe they got me the job. But specific, I would say maybe explore. Currently the trend is AI, so try to integrate a little bit of AI in your project. Those kind of projects might land you a job that you like. But in general, I would say I would still go back to do things that inspire you, and you would land between people who are actually inspired by the things you're inspired by.
True, true. So, what resource do you recommend for mastering optimization and web development? Like, is there any specific things? Because we can share them later on with the
um
audience.
okay, so for optimization, do you mean code optimization,
Yeah,
or like
yeah, code optimization, like efficiency overall system, and specifically in web development. That was the question.
Oh, okay. So for that, I would recommend lead code questions. Um, I actually struggle a little bit with the consistency on lead code, but I know with with the questions that I've done on lead code, um, they've helped me. At least they've made me think of my solution in different direction. And a very interesting concept that I came across probably like 2 3 days ago is it's a quote that says, a great code is not written, it's rewritten. So don't be afraid to go back to your code and rewrite it, refactor it. um, I have a friend who doesn't push to his actual repository for like 2 3 months because he would look at how that specific functionality is working, so that he can try to refactor it and rewrite it. So I would say just go over your code and keep looking at it. And also, tools like LeetCode and other coding exercise platforms would help you with code optimization.
That is a great tip because it can help them in their efficiency, and people even in competitive programming use it very uh, much, so it can definitely help them. So, taking on the
Yeah, yeah, for
freelancing
sure.
and career tips, uh, how can someone break into the freelance world?
Hmm. So I would go back to the thing I said before.
Okay.
Your net worth is your network. So I've done around 3 freelance projects since I've quit my Huawei job, and all of them came by recommendation. So I would highly suggest that people should work on their network, work on their connection. And the other thing is, other thing that I would really recommend is to learn how to sell yourself. I mean, people here on the tech content creation are very, very loud about their talent. They're very loud about what they're doing. And unless you keep up with that, you're not really going to land jobs or even make, work on projects that you won't be able to create a team, etc. You'd be losing on so much more. So I would say learn how to sell yourself, learn how to learn how to talk about the projects that you're doing. um, so yeah, I think that's the main thing we should all learn to do. Even I'm just starting on tech content creation, but I would say we should know how to sell ourselves, sell our products. That's how you break into the world.
Okay. So what digital tools do you recommend for entrepreneurship development? Since you're breaking into the startup
Yeah,
environment,
yeah,
what kind of tools do you recommend
yeah.
for anyone starting?
So when we come to the entrepreneurship area, well, uh, I would also go back to ALEX. So ALEX they have this amazing program called the Founder Academy, and it teaches you how to actually be a founder. I'm still in the process of taking that course, but I can tell you from the progress that I have now, I've been learning so much. So that's one thing, and the other thing is read books. I mean, I would suggest books like Simon Sinek's Start with Why, Zero to One, and books like that. I would highly suggest those. And the entrepreneurship journey is a little bit rough. It's very, very tiresome. And so I would say find your community. Go to networking events like Disruptors Den. I mean, they're not just networking events, but they would also teach you a couple of things here and there. They would give you tips on how to handle this very, very scary world. I mean, it's not just scary; it's also fun. But go to events like Disruptors Den. They have weekly meetups. Go to those events that Alex is preparing. These are the tools that you can use. And
Okay. Um, Around the startup
also,
idea.
I'm actually building a little something from entrepreneurs. So
Okay.
follow my LinkedIn, and my product will be soon out.
Okay. We'll sure to include it in our post and our pin post so they can find you and connect with you. So around the startup idea,
Yeah.
how do you validate your first startup idea? Because not every idea is $1 million idea. So how do you validate it?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to mention my amazing CEO, Bamlet Hermes Tesfaye. She's helping me a lot with the market validation. She's actually the one who brought the idea. So she's really working on the market validation and how sellable the idea is. So I'm not sure I'm the right person to talk about this, but like you know, uh, for our initial market validation, we created questionnaire and then we sent it out to a lot of people, and we collected the questionnaire, and then that's how we analyzed the initial market validation. But currently we're doing the testing and the app testing and the market validation, so we're still figuring that out.
Okay. So is there any big challenge you faced so far around that area
On the market validation or on the
on the
entrepreneurship
startup,
journey?
the entrepreneurship journey?
Okay, so the one thing that I've been facing a lot is the I mean, the ecosystem is very changing. It's very dynamic. So I'm working at a health startup. So our idea is connected to health, and the health industry and the startup ecosystem, it's very dynamic. So things are changing every now and then. The government is coming up with new rules that we have to adjust our market strategy, our app development. We have to change it quite a lot. So the dynamics of that is kind of scary. And also, I mean, like I said, it's the journey is not, it's exciting, but it's not just exciting. There are scary things related to it. So the whole navigating that, I'm actually building an app that people are going to use for, like, a lot of people are going to use, and I'm also going to be the owner of this app. That's a very scary feeling. So it's something that I have to fight quite a lot. What else have I faced? Yeah, and like I said, meeting people, it could be quite a challenge. Before I used to go to Disruptors Den, I thought I had to navigate this journey on my own, and that's not quite fun. So I would say these are the basic issues that I'm facing.
Okay. Uh, Circling back to the freelancing world, how can someone stand out while applying for remote positions or freelancing jobs? What do you think are, now you're in a startup and hopefully you might be employing other people? What do you think will stand out to you, or uh, in a CV or resume, or what did you do before that made you stand out from other competitors?
So I would, I mean, if I'm actually about to employ an I don't know, a developer for my company, I
Okay.
wouldn't look at their degree. You know, like I said, I've never actually, I didn't get my degree from college. I wouldn't look at their degree. I would rather look at the projects they developed. I would have a sit down with them and ask them why they developed that. So, like it comes back to do what inspires you. So I get very, very fascinated by people who books that they inspire them. So let's say I have a sit down with this developer and he tells me about this AI chatbot that he's developing because he had this problem and he wanted to solve that. I mean, I'm going to for sure hire that person rather than a guy who has this fancy degree and who hasn't done any projects. So the basic thing I would say is I would look at their projects, and I think my projects were the ones that got me the jobs that I applied for. So the projects you're doing are the biggest thing.
So one other question that was sent by an audience was, how do you decide your rates when starting out? Because these are mostly undergraduate students, and even in the remote positions, we don't know how to price ourselves compared to the outer world. So when you were doing that, how did you rate yourself, and how did you rate your compensation?
So I would say I struggle. I still struggle with compensation. I mean, um, a very, very funny incident. I once deducted around 10K because I was scared to, say I deserved that much of money. So it's something that I'm still navigating or trying to navigate. But I don't know, I would say talk to people. So the biggest thing that helped me was I talked to a lot of people around me. I asked it if you were asked to give price for this project or for this feature, how much would you say? And I took an average from that. So yeah, I would say do that. But after a while, you need to have your own scale. You need to go like, this is my amount of money that I require you know for this amount of jobs. So I'm going to work on that. But for the initial stage, go around, ask people. I mean, I did my first hospital system for free. So maybe,
Okay.
you need to do that to, I don't know,
To get
better your
started.
profile as well. So yeah, yeah.
So, what are the most common mistakes that you made as a beginner that you wish others don't make or avoid them?
Um, so the biggest mistake that I actually still regret is I in my GitHub repository I have around, I don't know, 8 projects that I haven't finished. I would start, and I don't know, maybe the busyness of life got to me, and then I'd forget them, and then after like 2 weeks I would say I want to start a new project. I'd start them. So for a very long time I had a bunch of incomplete projects. which was very, very sad. It was damaging for my self-esteem as well. So I would say if you start a project, finish it. That's the first thing I would say. And second, um, I mean, if you're learning at like, in the strict educational system, like, the degree program that I was in, if you're if you're in a program like that, I would say, um, you need to explore outer than the perimeters of your school. I used to think that what I was taught in class was enough for me to go out, and unfortunately was not. And it took me a while to learn that. So I would say, go out, explore, see how the world is doing things, learn how the world is doing things, so you can keep up with the momentum of things.
Okay. So, when was the right time for you to transition from being employed to freelancing to startup? Like, or like for others, some might be transitioning from freelancing as a side hustle to full time career.
Um, okay, so how I transitioned from 9 to 5 worker to freelance was my parents wanted me to learn my master's full time, so they did that. I quit my job, and I actually I thought I could actually freelance because 9 to 5 was a very rigid and not so well scheduled for me, and and also the compensation. I did not feel like the compensation was enough, so that was why I changed to freelance. But also, the whole the demand that the how demanding the job was, how stressful the job was, and the compensation I was getting, since it was not balanced, I was getting really, really drained out. I would get home and I would not be excited for the projects that I was doing. And so I felt like I was losing part of me, getting like, is this all that everything life has to offer? I was saying things like that to myself. So that's when I decided to quit. But how I decided to get into the entrepreneurship journey, I mean, I never had a pinpoint moment that like my time from freelance, from 9 to 5 to freelance, but rather a person introduced me to we just talked about the idea, and I said, I love it, let's build it. That's how I got into it. I didn't actually think that I would be a founder of a co-founder of a startup. One thing led to the other, and I also liked what we were doing, so I was like, this is my baby, I want to grow it and take care of it.
Okay. How do you stay motivated in such a competitive field in tech? Because it's getting more and more saturated as you're seeing it currently. So, how do you stay motivated and even like topping it up and being the top?
um yeah, the market is getting very saturated. What I say for this is, the one thing that I've actually wished I had done in college. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. I mean, so I am. So this is a very personal, I don't know, insight. I am a very people-oriented, relationship-oriented person. So, the relationships that I have with my friends, my family, it affects me a lot. So, if the person around me does not inspire me, or, they don't push me to be myself, then I can, you know, well, this is with shame, but I can say that I would, lose a part of my spark. So one thing that's helping me quite a lot these days is I'm surrounding myself with people who inspire. We could just sit down and talk about different ideas or different products that we can build. Even if we don't build them, the conversation gets me going. The conversation inspires me and gives me the energy. So I would say, surround yourself with people who inspire you.
Okay.
Even if it's friends, like, let your relationship with your friends, with your family, let that be your source of energy. If it's draining you, maybe you need to do something about that.
Okay. So, what is like the top three tips for growing as a full stack developer, specifically in Ethiopia? Because um, more than the resources.
I'm sorry, you were disconnected.
Oh, okay. What are your top three tips for growing as a full stack developer in here? That you would give them. Am I still?
Um, my top, no, no, and I heard you. My top three tips. Um, okay, so the first one, learn the foundation, learn the basic.
Okay.
Uh, you need to understand the basics of it, and then have the basic, and then start building something. Let it be a very small management platform. Let it be like, I don't know, a bookstore management platform, and then we do have a very good ally currently called ChatGPT, right? So go to ChatGPT and tell it, I've built this, and how can I make it better? It will give us the features that you can add. So the more you keep adding features, the more you learn. So, for example, when I started my full stack dev journey, uh, when I was doing that hospital management platform, I did not know a thing about Redux or the very fancy state management tools. I only knew the normal state management that React has. So it took me a very long time to understand what that was, because like, I was learning through the process. I did not try to learn everything at once because I would have forgotten it. But after a while, when I was doing an e-commerce platform, I learned what Redux was. So you don't have to learn everything, just the basics, and then do your projects. And then the final thing is go to LinkedIn and talk about what you did. You know, go
Yeah.
like, hey, you guys, I've built a very small uh, bookstore management platform. It does this. My code is, try to build an open source code platforms, or like an open source apps. I'm very terrible at that. I'm currently doing my first open source project. It's very scary to, give your code out there, but, try it. People might give you very bad comments, but you get to learn some. People would get to know your name, People would get to know who Nazrawit is because of the projects that I've done, because I talk about it. So, yeah, those are the tips that I would say.
Okay. So before you close in and did a bit of summary, and do you have any final words of encouragement for aspiring developers?
Um, okay. I would say, so, like I said, my friendships, my relationships currently are very inspiring. So I get a lot of good things from them, from my friends. So my co-founder Bemni once said, "Just begin." And I don't know why that was very profound. I mean, it's something that's very obvious, but it stayed with me for a while. That I even posted it on my workspace area at my home. It's, just begin. That's the biggest part of the uphill battle. Is, it's hard to start. So just begin,
Okay.
and the journey is fun after that. You just need to begin.
Okay. Do you have any more things you want to tell them? Since most are students, beyond my questions.
Um, okay. So what else can I say? Like I say, tell yourself. It might be a little bit scary to tell yourself, but tell yourself. Talk about what you're doing out online. Ask people what kind of problems you're facing. Go like, oh my God, I'm having this problem. Is anyone also facing this problem? I once posted that about a job, about a task that I was assigned to, and I asked people, people, I'm having this kind of issue, and could you DM me and tell me what to do? And the amount of responses I got was really overwhelming. I got people who were sending me courses, they were sending me actual tips. So use LinkedIn, talk about the things you're doing, talk about the things that inspire you, learn to sell yourself. I think that's my final word.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nazarit. You taught us a lot. We learn new things, and I want to say thank you. And do you have any questions from the audience you would like to ask Nazrawit? Okay, I see one question in the comment section. What would you recommend a computer science or software engineering undergraduate program?
Okay, so I mean, I learned computer science, so I'm not really familiar with software engineering. Um, but I don't think they have that much of a difference. I'm not sure, but maybe a couple of courses, but I don't think they have that much foundational difference. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe computer science is a broad than software engineering. So, you could learn computer science and then you could choose your way to specialize.
True, they can do that. Since this software engineering is a part of computer science, they can do that. So, any more questions? You can raise your hand, unmute
Yeah, yeah.
yourself. You can comment. Any questions? I believe since most of the questions I asked are from the audience, they're mostly covered.
Okay.
Okay. Idea, Aman, you can ask.
All right, thank you. So my question is very complicated stuff, and most of the developers I know have like many socials, LinkedIn, Telegram channel, Twitter, and extra. And I am just getting my feet wet on web development, and I just want to, network and stuff. So I want to start, but that's just overwhelming for me. I don't know where to start. Like, should I open a Telegram channel? Should I start like networking on LinkedIn or Twitter? Like, what's your best recommendation and how to manage it? Thank you.
Okay, that's a very great question. Thank you, Ida. Yes, a lot of tech content creators. They have Telegram channel, they have Twitter, they have LinkedIn. So the one thing that worked for me was LinkedIn. I was there before I was, a full stack. When I was an aspiring full stack or a very junior full stack developer, I was on LinkedIn and I talked. I I mean, I interacted with people on LinkedIn a lot, so I would say LinkedIn is the best because kind of LinkedIn would push content to people. While for Telegram channel, you need to have some kind of base or people to have subscribers. I've recently created my Telegram channel, but it's a very private one, and I only have like 15 subscribers. So I would really suggest LinkedIn first before going elsewhere. And then if you're like into the actual tech content creation part, you could go to Telegram, and then you could gather the people you have created, the community you've created on LinkedIn, and then go to Telegram and say, hey people, I've created a Telegram channel, join it, and yeah, do that.
All right, thank you. That was really helpful.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other question? I think there any more?
I think there's one question on the chat.
Okay. Can we the chance to start and learn even if our major departments is not computer science or software engineering? I think the question is, can we start to learn computer science and software engineering even though our major is like a different department?
Yeah. I mean, um, I know a doctor who's currently a software engineer. I mean, a full stack developer. So I would say whatever your course your majors are, if you're if you actually like it and if you want to learn, there are a bunch of resources online which won't require you to have a degree. And the very interesting thing about our field is, you know, we don't actually need a degree to find a job. Your portfolio, the projects you've done, they're enough to land your job. So even if you're not doing it for the income purpose because you're just inspired to create things, you still can do that without the need of a degree. I mean, I did study a lot about human medicine and human biology, and I'd still never be a doctor. But that's not how it works in the tech field. So that's the actual perk of the tech.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are outside of tech that graduate and even have like masters that go to that route of computer science and software engineering. So you can definitely do that.
Yeah.
So any more questions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think we don't have any more questions. I'm gonna assume. Okay, closing in. Okay, we have more questions. How can we start learning programming
Yeah.
language and doing projects? Should absolutely beginners learn HTML, CSS, JS, and Python as a basic? And another question: what resources do you suggest for beginners?
Okay. So, how can we start learning programming language? Um, I mean, I have a very, very basic answer. I would say go to YouTube and search how to code, and then it will teach you to code. I mean, for full stack web dev, though, you need to understand the very basic of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for this, I would suggest try to like learn the basics, and then try to do a very, very simple, I don't know, a bookstore, just front and just the UI side of it. Learn the HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript, because I mean, someone who hasn't worked with vanilla CSS would never appreciate what, for example, a framework like not a framework, a library like Tailwind would do. Unless you understand what is happening in the CSS, HTML, and the JavaScript, you wouldn't work very you wouldn't very function well in the React, Express, MongoDB, React, etc. So I start there, just do a very simple project on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, that then go up to the fronts. And then I've also mentioned this, but lead code. Do some lead code questions. It would exercise your brain. It would teach you how to think efficiently, work on code optimization, and things like that.
Okay, and as a resource, we mentioned ALEX before. Um, it is a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
They have very good courses. Like most people kept learning them. I took the full stack development course, and it's very good. Even though I had counterparts that never tried even coding, they were very good at it because of that program. So
Mm,
you can definitely check out that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, any more questions, or is this it? No problem. Okay, so I don't think I have any more questions, so I would like to say thank you for everyone attending and for Nazrawit to spending her time and knowledge with us here. And so I would like to say thank you. It was lovely hosting.
I would also thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk. I believe there are not enough females in this area, especially here in Ethiopia. So I would really appreciate the job that you're doing by recognizing those who are actually working on it.
Thank you so much. So if you have any more questions,
Yeah,
you can.
this was fun.
It was. So you can go to our Telegram channel, WTM Ethiopia, and you can see any resources that she mentioned. You'll link them up in a following post tonight or tomorrow morning. So thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Nazarite. This is the
You're
close.
welcome. If any else, if the others have questions, anything that you want to discuss, go on to my LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I'm quite active there, and yeah, we can talk there
we can
more.
post it in here, I think, and we will post it in a follow up too, so they can connect with you. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I'd love that.
okay. Okay, I have posted it down and I'll post it in the morning. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Okay, thank you all. I had fun.
I did.
Goodbye.
Bye everyone.